Hello and welcome to episode 48 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're your source for weekly drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
Yeah, basically we're just regular dudes drinking irregular beers and talking about some world-class Magic the Gathering that will be taking place on MTG Arena.
Woo woo! World Championships! All right.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for this.
I am too. I am. We'll talk about some things in a second, but I'm happy to be doing our Final Fantasy. Finally closing it out and seeing who wins the Weird 2-4. We've been...
Spoiler, me.
I don't think so, but we have been working on this for almost a year, so that's crazy to think about.
That is ridiculous.
That this bet has been going on way too long.
Yeah.
But first, each week we both bring a beer, drink our own, then drink each other's, rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic, and choose the best for last. So with that, Jeff, what's on tap?
All right, so I have Bianca. This is a beer from Omnipolo, and it is a Mango Lassi Goza fruited sour ale. So I have no idea what to expect with this. Omnipolo makes good stuff, though, so I trust them. And the can is purple.
Nice. I brought Zap from Nickelbrook. It's a pink lemonade sour IPA. It's 5.6%, and it has a picture of a flying saucer with like sucking up lemons.
Zach, I think it's all caps with an exclamation point, so you need to say it with a little more gusto.
Oh, sorry. I brought Zap! is what I brought. But, yeah. Also, news, I'm in a new apartment, so hopefully there aren't as many sirens. But there might be other sounds, so yay!
Wait, don't you edit all those out post-production?
Oh, yeah. I am a audio wizard. Magic news. Ooh, we got some breaking news today.
Yeah.
Always nice when we get it on the day that we're actually recording, so that's good.
Yeah.
So, basically, the deck lists for Worlds, for the standard portion of the event, were supposed to come out on Friday, right before the event starts. And instead, they got leaked today, thanks to MTG Melee / I think it was Melee's fault, because they issued a apology on Twitter, and then kind of after that, WotC was like, okay, well, we'll officially announce what they are, and then they posted their thing about it as well. Just being like, oops, I guess everyone knows now. So
yeah, they didn't make them private or something. I don't know.
Yeah, specifically Melee said, so yeah, you need to make sure you hit the box that says not public deck lists when you make a tournament. So somebody fucked up. Whoops. Yeah. So that's been the talk of embarrassments today. For a couple reasons.
Another chapter in the embarrassing WotC stories when it comes to running online tournaments.
Which is classic. So, yay, just another one in the bucket, I guess. So, at first I was, like, upset, because it, like, sucks, because that's not what you want, really. And we were planning on speculating, what the decks were going to be today. So, I guess we'll kind of just talk about the deck list instead of actually wondering what they're going to be. But yeah, Jeff, I mean, how does this make you feel? Like, what were your whole process?
I think it kind of sucks. I mean, on the one hand, very few people brought any spice, which I think was what was the most disappointing thing to me, is that I was hoping for some spicier lists here. And so, getting the chance to... Basically, the problem is that everybody now gets to test against all of their opponents' deck lists for 3 days before the tournament, right? Yeah. Whereas normally they wouldn't have that opportunity. Now, because everybody gets it, like, I don't think there's any issues of tournament integrity or anything going on, but, like, for example, the people that brought Grixis, they brought it to win the mirror match against Izzet, and now their Izzet opponents will have a plan.
Yeah. Whether that plan will be executed well or not, we'll have to find out.
Right.
But a lot of it is like pre-sideboarding in your head against certain opponents that you would normally have to do on the fly. Normally you have to be like,
exactly.
Oh shit. Well, and look up their deck list and be like, okay, because it's all open deck lists once the tournament starts. So you will know, right? It is, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not like they got information they wouldn't have had. They just have 3 days to work on it
They have
instead
extra time with it. I guess the silver lining is that we'll probably just see better matches. There'll be
That's true.
no mistakes, pretty much. But it does suck for the people that tried to bring some secret tech to kind of surprise their opponents.
Yeah, it really punishes the people who are being creative and trying to come up with something
not what
new.
we want to do.
Exactly. You want them to still have the edge of, we worked really hard building this list, and now we come to the tournament and we get to reap the rewards of having a surprise. And this way really hoses you for that. Though, I mean, obviously you can't change your deck list now, so if you there are a few lists we'll talk about it that have like main deck burning hands, and maybe they won't. They were hoping for a different matchup, and now you have this sideboard card in your main deck. So we'll see what comes with that. But ultimately, I was thinking initially that these next couple days, a lot of people probably chunked out, being like, "Well, once I submit my standard deck list, there's not a lot I can do after that." So guess it's time to practice for limited, because we're the first 3 rounds are draft. So
yeah,
I was thinking like, they probably want to work on that, but now maybe they'll be like, oh well, shit, I should probably focus on standard because the majority of the tournament is standard.
Yeah, like I think every single one of these players, like some of them are streamers, but none of them streamed standard. Like I know Gab Nassif, even I popped into his stream once and he explicitly said he would not be streaming standard before Worlds because he doesn't want to leak the deck list. So now it's like, well, deck list is out. Gab, you gonna stream or what?
Yeah, I guess that's true. But you probably still don't want to stream it because you don't want people to know what you're planning on doing for each matchup. Like,
I saw his stream today. I didn't watch it, but I saw the title was time to leak my limited strategy for Worlds or something. He was playing limited.
That's so funny. Yeah, on Twitter, after all the decks were leaked, Gab had said, "Hey, so can we just have like a gentleman's agreement that nobody tests against the decks before the tournament? Can we just agree? Like, please, maybe?"
Because he's one of these people that brought the special deck to win the mirror match.
Yeah, he brought the Grixis Epiphany deck. So spoiler, I guess. I mean, it's all spoilers today.
Yeah.
Everything got spoiled.
The funny thing is, though, if you weren't moving, we would have recorded yesterday.
That is, yeah.
So it would have happened again where news gets leaked the day after we record.
Yeah, so I literally moved yesterday, and so we decided we're gonna record on tonight instead, just to give me a breather. And hey, look at that! Maybe we should record on Tuesdays. I don't know. It's anyway. Do you want to just kind of get into these decks because we can.
Sure.
I mean, originally, what I was originally thinking was there were going to be 3 decks. It was going to be like this Izzet Epiphany deck, mono green and mono white, and I was like, what other decks can you play? Those seem like the only value or like viable options. So I am happy to see some differences.
Yeah, I mean that's mostly like I don't actually know when these deck lists were submitted. I think maybe they were submitted like last Friday or something. Maybe Sunday, I don't know, but it seems to me like this was the metagame before the big Star City Games event this past weekend. Because what happened in that event is people brought a lot of Epiphany at the start, but then by the end of the weekend, mono green was by far the most popular because Izzet Epiphany did not do well in that weekend. It was like 45% win rate the whole time. So
yeah.
Whereas mono green was like 65%. So I thought there would be more mono green than this.
I was also planning. So let's actually just run through what it is, so everyone is on the same page that we are on. As far as like the decks, and then we'll kind of dive a bit deeper into them. But as far as this Izzet Epiphany deck, there are 4 people bringing this deck. So there's only 16 players. So 4 is a good amount for the
25%.
Yeah, 25%. And the other 25% is
Grixis Epiphany.
Yeah, which is supposed to be the new hotness.
Right, which is the Izzet Epiphany deck that splashes black.
Yeah, for hand disruption, essentially. All right, so that's
slightly better removal.
Yeah, so that's 50% of the field right there. It's just like these Epiphany decks.
Epiphany, yeah.
And then we get 3 mono green decks, which are what you would kind of expect.
I mean, there's some spice in there. We'll get to that later, but
There is, and I don't know what to do about it, but
yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but
yeah,
I'm not going to tell Paulo he's wrong. So
well, yeah, of course, but also, is he wrong? I don't know. It seems like maybe not the best pick for this tournament, but not that you would know. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there were two people that brought mono white aggro. Mm-hmm. And then there's like this Teamer Treasures deck, which is really moist gruel to me.
I really hate that you said that.
it's moist gruel aggro, which they decided they're going to call Teamer, which we'll get into why that doesn't make any sense to me. And then Is It Dragons, specifically really Is It Dragons, not Prismari Dragons.
Right.
Which we always say Prismari when we talk about that deck, and obviously this one's different, so we're not going to call it that. And then an Azorius Tempo deck, which is the most exciting to me.
Gotta love Noriyuki Mori. He always just brings a deck of his completely own construction.
Yeah, so that one's pretty exciting. But let's just start things off with the deck that we have seen a lot of, and it is was obviously huge before this weekend, and then there's a bunch of talk about Alrund's Epiphany this weekend about getting banned or all this kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but then it didn't perform well in the tournaments. So it's like, should we be banning it?
So yeah, so like that conversation was kind of going into, all right, there's this card. Do we quickly want to talk about this? I have some things to say.
Sure.
But so as far as because Alrund's Epiphany it's the card that shows up in like the majority of the decks.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's like 62% or something is of them as far as copies.
This is in everything except the monocolored aggro decks and Teamer, I think. Like I don't think the Teamer deck's playing it. But.
Exactly. So every deck
Moist Gruel.
Yeah, Moist Gruel. So the Teamer deck is only playing blue for like negate or something. And so every other deck that could play it is. And it's just like, yeah, it's a great card. And some of the discussion this weekend was, like you were saying, the beginning of this 5K SCG Tour tournament, they were starting a lot of Epiphany decks, and then slowly it was becoming more and more mono-green. And it ended up being, towards the end of the weekend, right, it was like mono-green was huge, and there were like maybe one good Epiphany deck that ended up making it.
Yeah, I think one of them top-8'd.
Yeah. But the other decks were mono green or mono white, and
mono white did really well as well.
And basically, a lot of conversation was the reason that they still, even though it didn't perform very well, the reason they want Alrund's Epiphany to still get banned is because it's the reason why those other decks you have to play those other decks, and it pushes out other brews because you either have to be mono green or mono white to beat it, or you can beat mono green and mono white, but you can't beat Alrund's Epiphany. And there's not a lot of in between.
Yeah, like I hate Alrund's Epiphany as much as the next guy because I love playing mid range, and you just can't play mid range if your opponent just needs to get to 7 mana to win the game. It's very similar to what was happening with the Sultai Ultimatum decks, which were also an Alrund's Epiphany deck, really. That you just can't play this kind of value train, interact with your opponent game plan if all they have to do is get to 7 and then they win.
Yeah. And now this deck has Galvanic or what's that card called? Sorry.
Galvanic Iteration.
Iteration. Yeah, Galvanic Iteration, which is the one that just like doubles your next spell, and so you get 2 turns.
Yeah, the iterations are the real best cards in this deck, actually.
Yeah, expressive.
The 2 different iteration cards.
So Galvanic Iteration and the Prismari one, Expressive Iteration. They both like. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, Expressive Iteration is just ridiculous. But.
This deck is just not a deck that I am usually interested in. Something that doesn't play any creatures is like...
They play some in the board usually, bring in like Smoldering Eggs, but...
Yeah, Smoldering Eggs and the Malevolent Hermit,
Goldspan.
Which is fun to see.
I would never play this deck. It's not my kind of deck. But I actually, I played in some of the Star City stuff over the weekend, and I really enjoy playing against this deck, actually. It's kind of fun.
Really?
Because you're always ahead, and it's always very, very close. Like, they either stabilize and do their stupid take 4 turns and you're dead thing, or they don't quite get there and you win. You're able to eke it out, like, the turn before they would have gone off or something, so...
Yes,
You have to like disrupt them just enough, like a well-timed Redain or Paulo or something.
Yeah.
So I was playing Bant.
Got it.
So
Okay.
that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I picked Bant because it dunks on mono green. It like absolutely annihilates mono green. And in the 12 matches I played against mono green once, even though it was 35% of the field. So I was like, God damn it.
Classic.
It's like 50-50 against Is It Epiphany, I think, the Bant deck I was playing. I just took Brad Nelson's list that he posted on Star City Games. But it annihilates mono green, so I feel like I predicted the meta game right, and then just it's still only 35% of the field, so the other 65% is you're still more likely to run into that. But
yeah,
I think if I'd hit mono green a few more times, I would have done better.
I just feel like I've been playing mono green on the ladder, which is obviously not the same as playing in a tournament because, I'm also not a really high rank, but like any deck that I have to play against Jawari Disruption, I hate it. It always gets me every time where I'm like,
yeah.
So do I hold it up for Jawari Disruption?
Jawari Disruption is good.
I think I will play a 2-drop on turn 3, and then it doesn't matter that they do something else to kill it.
That's the thing. Like, even the fact that, like, I don't think I ever got anything countered in the whole tournament by Jawari Disruption, but the fact that my opponents had 4 of them in their deck made me play off curve all the time. And so it's like, even if they didn't even have it, it was still kicking my ass.
Yeah, because you have to let them you have to stay off curve the whole game. And the best part about
you can't get your Asika's Chariot hit by Jawari Disruption. You can't.
No, you can't. Like, it just... Then you already lost. You're like, oh, great, well, I'm screwed now.
Yeah, then they, like, untap an expressive iteration and, like, pass again. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, so obviously... at a higher level, well, I'm the one who always gets hit with it because I'm like, they don't have it.
Fuck it.
I saw something on Twitter where someone was showing like their opponent's graveyard and their graveyard, and it was just their mono green curve, and they're like all in the graveyard, and their opponent's graveyard was just 4 Jawari Disruptions, and they're like,
nice.
Because like once you get hit with the first 2, you're like, they don't have the third one. They don't have it.
Right.
And then you get hit with it. And you're like, well, they don't have the 4th one. I know they don't have the 4th one. And then you get hit with it. And you're like, what the fuck? So, I mean, obviously it doesn't happen like that very often at all. But I don't do well against this deck. Probably because of those things. I'm also not a very good Magic player. So...
Yeah, the Bant deck has some game because you play Paulos and then I play Redains in the sideboard.
Yeah, because at least that brings them off curve too.
So you can just play a 3-drop, right? Like a lot of decks in the format try to ramp right to 4 and skip 3 drops, but that deck plays 3 drops, so you don't have to slam your Asika's Chariot into Jawari Disruption.
Anyway, this deck, I still think it has a good shot of making it, and it will be fun to watch as well.
I think it's a little bit overrated, but it's kind of like what you were saying, where it's also a skill level thing, right? Like, I was playing against good opponents in the Star City event, but I wasn't playing against the 16 best players in the world. So maybe this is one of those decks that scales with the skill of its user,
Yeah, exactly.
I could definitely see this being one of them. Like, Divide by 0 is such an interesting card to play.
Yeah. I just love the fact that we do have learn and lesson cards in the World Championship. Like, they're, Mascot Exhibition is a card that someone's going to go get, Like,
I don't think I ever would have guessed that Teachings of the Archaics would be present in the World Championship.
Right. Like, some of it, there are some really cool ones that we'll see. But, like, the fact that, Mascot Exhibition is a sweet card that, obviously you want to play, but, they're just doubling it most of the time when they play it. So then you're like, well, if I don't win from extra turns, I'm going to double my Mascot Exhibition and just kill you in one shot. So, it is cool. So the players that are playing this Is It Epiphany deck, 2 of them have the same list. So Andrei Strosky and Stanislav Sivka. Obviously, they work together. They're part of the Czech house, so they have the same list.
Probably Ivan Flock built the deck for them.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all working together. And Ivan's like cheering them on. And but then Arne Huschenbett also has a very, very similar list, except for there's like 2 cards that are different.
Yeah, it's really close. And I was just looking at it to see if I could notice a difference.
Yeah, I think I don't remember what the difference is exactly, but He's playing 11 sorceries instead of the 12 that the other ones are. That's how I noticed really quickly. So it's more of like the numbers that are different, not necessarily like actual cards. And then Kaisuke Sato is also playing this, but
it's one Shatter Skull Smashing actually. That's the difference in sorceries.
Right. But Kaisuke Sato is playing this list, except for with 4 main deck Smoldering Eggs. So, which is also fun to see. There's a lot of Smoldering Eggs. And we were talking about how
thing in the eggs.
Yeah, thing in the eggs, thing in the fire.
Yeah.
So that's just it's cool to see. I mean, it's fun to see so many new cards and like different decks. Obviously, because we're past rotation, so like we get some better stuff, or not better, but different stuff. Anyway, so that just makes me happy to finally get to watch another tournament that's like, hey, we're not doing the same shit we've been doing for the last year. It's so great.
Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, Midnight Hunt has had a huge impact on Standards. So that's nice.
Yeah. But the Grixis Epiphany deck, like we were saying, this is a very similar deck list to the Is It one, except for there's the Duresses and the Mind Rot from Strixhaven in the sideboard.
Oh, go blank.
Go blank. Sorry, I just went blank there trying to remember what that card was called.
Heyo.
But I think I like this one quite a bit because it's playing one of your Worthless slots.
I know, I was going to say that. This was my 3-point Worthless slot. Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. I love to see this card here. Yeah, I mean, it's super sweet.
It's just, it's so cool to know, like, you were talking about a sweet, like, Dimir deck list with this. And now this is not exactly the same thing, but it's just awesome to know, like, hey, this card's going to be on a huge stage. And everyone who's playing this Grixis Epiphany deck, they're all basically the same. They're almost exactly the same, I think.
I think this is basically like Team Channel Fireball that brought this deck. Like the Channel Fireball guys that have been working together all year.
Yeah.
Nassif and Ely Cassis and Jan Martzmerkel.
Yeah. So, which was surprising to me. I was surprised that percentage of people would be working together and bring the same deck. And not have, do the LSV thing where you have one card that's different just to get your teammates. So it's just a little surprising to me. I don't know if this is a normal thing or what, but when I was looking at it, I was like, I could see a couple people working together. Like, okay, they worked, and maybe they have some people who aren't in Worlds, but like...
Yeah, like it's super normal for a pro tour or something. But yeah, when there's only 16 players, to be working with 3 of them feels... weird. Like you want to get an edge on those guys too. You got to beat them too.
Exactly. The one card in this list that there's a lot of stuff like Duress is going to be great for these, pre-sideboarded stuff. And, but the Celestus is one of the cards that I was...
Yeah, that one was a head scratcher for me too.
Just for ramping, I guess. Like, are you...
Yeah, I think they've decided that like in the mirror match, having more mana is how you win, I guess. So they just... This deck is definitely tuned to beat the mirror match. Like, even Lear means that all of their counter spells are turned off, right?
Yeah,
because
that's true.
It doesn't let them counter. So it's just going to... You play Lear, and then it's just a battle of... what's the card called that bounces?
Oh, just
Divide by Zero.
Divide by Zero.
I always forget the name of that card because I hate it. Although this Grixis list isn't even playing Divide by Zero.
No, it's not. And it's also not main decking Burning Hands, which is one of the... It's just like... It's cool to see. I like the Grixis list because it has accurately... Well, I mean, they all brought it together, so they accurately figured out what the majority
at least
of
be
the
good
field
against
was going
each
to play.
other.
Yeah, so they'll be good against each other, which is hilarious. They're like, all right, guys, let's build a deck that is going to be good against the field, but also good against each other, and we'll just see who's the best. And that's literally what they did. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Great. Also, I love the 3 Cyclone Summoners in the sideboard, which is just great against the creature decks. Just like, boom, balance everything. Go fuck yourself.
Are there any like random giants or something though out of mono green?
I don't think so. And there aren't any wizards either, which is funny to see that they do have wizards that like you can play the Cyclone Summoner and it won't bounce your Lear because that's a wizard.
Yeah, or your Malevolent Hermit if you for some reason have both of those in.
Yeah. which is just
Mind Flare is also a house against mono green. That was part of the reason my Bant deck beat the crap out of mono green, because I had main deck Mind Flares.
and you just get to steal all their big shit. Yeah, there aren't any. There's just a bunch of like trolls and shit.
But no main deck Burning Hands makes sense to me here. Not only do you have black removal to deal with big stuff, like you have a power word kill kind of snuck in there, a Blood Chief's Thirst. But clearly you bring this deck because you think Izzet Epiphany is the top deck. And so it does, like, you don't main deck Burning Hands because you don't think mono green is going to be the most represented deck. You think Izzet is.
The thing is, they didn't even bring Burning Hands at all. Like, it's not even in the sideboard.
Yeah, you don't need it when you have the black.
That's true. You have Power Word Kill and Soul Shatter, so like, why would you? But yeah, I'm new to this Grixis deck, so I'm kind of excited to see it play out. That's
yeah, I've never seen this. I think this is new tech for this tournament because I've never seen anyone bring this.
Yeah, and so this is one point before we move on to the next one. This was a big part of the leak, was being like, oh, this Grixis deck is a thing, and it's a big part of the field, and they were obviously working really hard to keep it a secret because Gab Nassif wasn't playing it on a stream, and all of them were trying to keep it a secret. And somebody was tweeting about the Jeskai Mutate deck from a while back that was taking one of the Pro Tours by storm. When was that? Was it a league weekend or was it a Pro Tour? I can't remember. Or
no, that was a championship.
The championship,
thing.
Yeah. And they had a similar thing happen. And they were talking, one of the teammates that was working on that list was talking about how they were trying to keep it a secret. And after they had submitted deck lists, one of the commentators was writing their Wizards article or whatever, like what we're going to see or whatever. Yeah. And like had basically like 95% of the actual deck that was submitted was basically the same list as what they had submitted, and being like, why are you putting us on blast like a few days before the tournament when this wasn't a deck that was really around in other things? Like, you only learned about this deck because we submitted this deck to you. And it's like how it's a weird way of like the Wizards or the people working with Wizards is trying to make it seem like they already knew about this deck that was coming into it. But the point of the deck was to be really confusing, and that your opponent didn't really know what you were doing until you had already done it. So, and it really puts them at a disadvantage when you know about that, and it really sucks. And so this isn't just the first time that this has happened this year, is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you were saying earlier, like you just don't want to punish people for bringing new creative decks, like otherwise people will stop doing it.
and I mean, obviously these kinds of events are in a downtick because we don't know what's going to happen, and so people are not investing as much. But this is one of the things that people are still investing a lot of time and energy and like their livelihoods into this thing, and we should double check if you clicked the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So what do you think of Paulo and Sam's mono green deck?
So I was surprised by this one because I didn't think that they were going to be playing the 2-mana. Well, you had talked about this. I don't know if it was last week, but just talking about the 2-mana ramp creatures. So you were saying Lotus Cobra, with Seth Manfield is playing Lotus Cobra, but Sam Pardee and Paulo Vitor Damarosa are playing Sculptor of Winter.
Right.
Which is probably better in the deck, actually, because if your old growth troll dies, it will go on a land, and then you have this double tapper.
Oh, that's true.
So that seems like the reason you would go for Sculptor of Winter instead of Lotus Cobra. Also because you have guaranteed ramp, where Lotus Cobra you have to have a land.
Yeah, and you can't use it on your opponent's turn, the extra mana from Lotus Cobra.
That's true.
So you can't like hold up a Snakeskin Veil or a Blizzard Brawl or something.
Yeah, well, you can't play that. Blizzard Brawl is a sorcery, but you can't do the Inscription of Abundance or whatever. But
sure.
The only reason I know this is because I've been playing Mono Green recently, and I always want to use Blizzard Brawl on their turn, and I can't. So
I never knew that. Like when I was playing in the tournament, I was like, why does my opponent keep main phasing their Blizzard Brawl? Like that would have been way better to blow me out if they'd held it. Now I know.
Now you
know.
My
opponent was not bad. They
just weren't allowed.
They knew what their cards did.
Or Arena just doesn't let you.
Yeah.
But yeah, also Sculptor of Winter is 2 toughness. which there are some Spikefield traps. Spikefield Hazard?
That's what I was thinking is the main thing is like both Tangled Florahedron and the Cobra get hit by Spikefield Hazard, and Sculptor of Winter does not.
Exactly. With these decks, I think the really fun... I don't know if they're both playing it, but Death Touch, the 1/1 Death Touch from Zendikar Rising, the Blightblade, playing that in the sideboard to go with the Blizzard Brawl is kind of fun. I was like surprised to see something like that. It just wasn't. It just seems like such a simple thing that I wasn't expecting it, and I would never do it. I would always just think like, oh, that's probably not very good.
I'm a little surprised to see just 2 Wrenn and 7s, but
that
most lists I've seen play 4.
Yeah, and this list plays 2, and then there's 1 in the sideboard, and I think Seth plays 3. So neither of the mono green decks, which I kind of get because you don't want to have multiples in your opening hand. Yeah, he's just playing 3 with no in the sideboard. So
and then 1 Unnatural Growth, because a lot of people decide between Wrenn and 7 and Unnatural Growth as their 5-drop, and Seth's like, I'll play both.
I'll play both. Unnatural Growth is great. I think that card's awesome. I mean, I think it's better against other creature decks where when you're playing the mono green deck and you have a mirror match, you need to be bigger than their mono green deck because that's the reason why mono green's good is because it's bigger. So either it's you slam this down and then kill them when they thought they had an extra turn, or we'll see. I wanted to do some work, but because Sam and Paolo aren't playing it, so they are playing Choose Your Weapon in their sideboard though, which was also surprising to me.
I don't even remember what this card does.
It's a like sideboard card from draft that you just never played.
Right.
But it's like the instant 2 and a green. You can double target creature's power and toughness, or deal 5 damage to a creature with flying. So I've seen other mono green lists that play the 2 mana one.
Tangle Trap.
Yeah, Tangle Trap, and so they're playing that, and you're like, oh sweet, so that blows up. It's good in the mirror because it can destroy an artifact, so it kills the chariot, and then also deals 5 to any of the dragons. But this one's like, hey, either I'm going to kill you, I guess, or kill a dragon.
Guess they just figured artifact destruction wasn't that relevant.
Yeah, which won't... It's true because it's super unhelpful in these Epiphany decks, which they're like, I don't give a shit. And like the Grixis ones, I guess you can get rid of the Celestus, but like...
Yeah.
Is that worth a card?
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, mono green's just amazing because it's both fast, but also like has built-in card advantage and Ranger class and Werewolf Pack Leader, and like all the cards are just so good. Like it's just such a high power level for a monocolored deck. Like monocolored decks shouldn't have this level of card quality. You know?
Yeah, in this like reach.
Not to mention you can play up to 8 creature lands if you want. Like there's just a lot to like about this deck.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have mono white aggro, the other monocolored aggro deck that 2 Japanese players brought, Rei Sato and Yoshihiko Ikawa. I know you like mono white, so what do you think of that decision?
I was expecting some mono white. I really like this list though because it's a lot different than what I've been playing, and I've been slowly not liking the version I was playing. So I'll probably be playing this for a little bit. But the main things that I liked about it were they're playing all the stuff we've been talking about in our Worthless slots. They have Brutal Cathar in the sideboard, they have Curse of Silence in the sideboard, and Guardian of Faith. And I'm just like,
right.
This is sick. These, like, I wanted to see these, like, I wanted to see pro players play with these cards, and they're gonna play with them. Like, it's great. I'm really happy with that. The addition or playing Stonebinder's Familiar is so interesting.
You just need another 1-drop, I think.
Yeah, but this one specifically, because so this is the Spirit Dog from Strixhaven, that whenever one or more cards are put into exile during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you can only do it once a turn. Which is interesting because it really works just with like your Portable Hole and then your Elite Spellbinder.
Right. And then, if you side in your Brutal Cathars or Skyblade Apparitions,
then you get some extra value and stuff. But It's obviously doing a different thing that I've been doing, which is a lot of the mono white stuff where I'm trying to double spell to go wide. But I think it's interesting. I want to see it play out. I liked this card when they were playing it in adventures. So your venture cards, you exile them when they're on an adventure. So that was something I really enjoyed with it. This seems to not utilize that as much, and it's just really, like you're saying, another 1-drop that has some synergies.
Yeah, and I have my eye on Sun Gold Sentinel here. That card actually impressed me when I played against this deck over the weekend. I actually lost a game where my opponent just played Sun Gold Sentinel and then Luminar Casperant, and just kept putting counters on it and making it unblockable every turn, and I didn't draw a removal spell for it, and I just died.
Yeah, that is good. It also deals with a big part of Epiphany, if you ever get to that point, is you can exile their Galvanic iteration in the graveyard.
Right.
Which is...
Memory Deluge, too.
Yeah, and Memory Deluge, yeah. Which is a big part of that plan, and that's why the Grixis decks are playing the Go Blinks to exile their graveyards. So...
I guess that triggers Stonebinder's Familiar as well.
Oh, that is true. Oh, I wasn't even thinking about the graveyard. Oh, okay.
So if you go Stonebinder's Familiar into Sun Gold Sentinel, you start triggering it, right?
That's true.
As long as there's anything in a graveyard?
Yeah. And you could just do your own stuff if you want to. Okay. All right. I do like that. Never mind. That makes a bit more sense now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the matchup against Izzet is. I assume it's got to be decent because you have 3 main deck Verdanes, 4 main deck Elite Spellbinders. Unfortunately, you also have like Fateful Absence, which sucks, Portable Hole, which sucks. But,
yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. I think it's probably pretty play draw dependent.
Yeah, I think it very much is. And if you can squeeze under, I guess they're playing. Their wipes are like Burn Down the House. Nobody's playing Battle of Frost and Fire, right?
Yeah, I think Burn Down the House just turned out to be better because you can copy it with Galvanic Iteration.
That's true. Also, it comes in a pinch whenever whenever you need 3/1/1s that just deal damage. The amount of times where I'm like, okay, if I run you over, I win, but also I'm gonna die from this fucking thing. So
yeah, well, it's the thing where if you copy Elrond's Epiphany and you untap and you copy Burn Down the House, then that's exactly 20 because you get 4 birds and 6 devils over 2 turns.
That's so annoying.
Yeah.
But hey, good job. That's good.
Yeah.
It's strong.
Well done.
Very strong.
Sucker, I gained 1 life at some point. You suck.
Yeah, that's true. But then you just die on the next turn, I guess. So
Yeah, you're still probably gonna lose.
Or if they see that, they just burn down the house and just wipe all your creatures, and then
Yeah. Or they like kill their own devil to deal the extra point.
That's true. That is also true. Fuck, so annoying. Anyway,
so that's the kind of the bulk, right? And then we have a few one-ofs.
Yeah, a couple one-ofs. Which, I mean, it's always fun to be like, oh, wow, you brought this, like, fun little deck that's different.
Yeah. Jean-Emmanuel brought the Moist Gruul, and it's a really interesting build. It's like...
I was hoping
it's like ramping into Moonveil Regent, I guess? So it's playing the Magda Jespera Sentinel, like, super ramp package. And it's, like you said, just splashing blue for negate, basically, and some Disdainful Strokes in the sideboard. Yeah, I mean, this is a build of Gruul I've never seen. Like, it's not even playing Renin 7.
No.
It's choosing to play Goldspan Dragon in that spot instead.
And Keswick Naturalist.
Which might be a good decision against all the Epiphany decks. Like, the problem with Goldspan Dragon is that your opponents play Renin 7, and it just runs into the Tree Folk and dies. But if there's not a lot of green decks here, so there's not a lot of Renin 7s around.
There's a good... And they're not even playing 4 copies, so... You might be able to just, like, dodge that.
Yeah, there's something like 9 Renin 7s in the whole tournament, and 2 of them are in the sideboard, so...
Yeah, so that's
maybe
great.
It was a good call.
I think so.
Maybe he pegged the metagame exactly. I mean, he must think this has a good Epiphany matchup if he's bringing it, so...
Yeah, because
I'm kind of rooting for him. I want this Gruul deck to do well.
Yeah? Wait, rooting for him enough that you would try to pick him?
We'll see. And then we mentioned Noriyuki Mori on blue-white. Really cool deck.
This deck looks freaking sweet.
Yeah, I kind of want to like play this. If I had the cards for it, I would just build it. I think I'm missing like the adversaries though, Spectral Adversary and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't have this. the spectral ones, but
I don't know if I want to blow a bunch of mythic wildcards on it, but
oh, I would definitely do it. This looks like it just looks sweet. I don't know. I love the concerted defense is such a fun ad because like I'm looking through these cards being like, why are you playing this? But then it's like, okay, well, all right, there's a cleric, there's another cleric, there's a wizard. All right. Oh, there's a no, that's a soldier. There's a warrior though. And you're like, okay. This is pretty nice. I didn't
it's not like he has a lot of stuff that doesn't do anything for party. Like the adversaries are nothing. The Warhound, the Brutal Cathar, like you mentioned, Redain. It doesn't have that much. That's going to be a force spike a lot of the time.
Yeah, but it's also a force spike. So I was already talking about how much just Warrior Disruption just like really ruined my day. So I feel like,
I guess it's not unreasonable to get it to be like Spell Pierce, where it makes them
dude for 2
pay 2.
Yeah. So
it's Spell Pierce most of the time in this deck, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Also, the Brutal Cathars are interesting, which I was saying that I liked before, but they're really strong against the Gruul matchup.
Tokens.
Because they're good against tokens, right. Because I was definitely playing with Brutal Cathar against a Rakdos deck, and I had so many things under it. It was amazing until they killed it, and then they got them all back. And I was like, oh.
Right, I was going to say, Rakdos seems likely to kill it, though.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, sweet. So here's all your stuff back. Also, all your ETBs trigger again, so have fun. And I'm just like, concede? This is horrible for me. But, this deck is fun because, like, it's playing it has, like, this look of a mono white deck. But then it also has the Malevolent Hermits to like deal with these Epiphany decks. Plus, you're playing your own Alrund's Epiphany if you need an extra combat just to kill them. So, I don't know. I like it. It has a lot of like counter magic, or at least some. So it might be able to.
It's very disruptive, right?
Yeah.
The Spellbinders, the Redains, and then the adversaries, and even like. Malevolent Hermit, you have your Spell Pierces or Concerted Defense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this deck does. I hope it does well.
Yeah.
Because it's cool.
It's super cool. Like, and it's, probably besides mono white aggro, the second deck I would want to play.
Yeah. If I had those adversaries, I would fire this up for sure.
For sure. So the last deck we're going to talk about is Yuta Takahashi's Is It Dragons deck. And so this is the one, they're not actually playing Galazeth Prismari. So that's part of the reason why we're not going to call it Prismari Dragons, because there's no Prismari here.
I think they've mostly, like, the Dragons players have mostly cut Galazeth at this point for Smoldering Egg. Yeah, so Yuta Takahashi is famous for playing tempo decks. That's what he's good at. He played rogues through pretty much the whole last season. He's famous for like playing fairies back in the day. Mm-hmm. He's famous for bringing fairies to every tournament, even when fairies wasn't a good deck, and still doing well. And I think maybe the same thing's going on here. Like, I think Is It Dragons is a bad deck. I think it's not tier 1 in the current format. But he's so good with these styles of decks that he must have decided it's worth it for him to bring what is a weaker deck, like on pure power level than everyone else, but it fits his playstyle perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can see that it isn't as like powerful as some of these other Epiphany decks where you're taking 2 turns, but this one still takes 1, like...
Yeah, I mean, my main issue with this deck is it gets massacred by mono green. And so that's why it did so badly in the Star City Games event. It had like a 32% win rate or something.
Yeah.
And maybe he also predicted there wouldn't be that much mono green, because I figure the matchup's probably okay against Is It Turns.
Yeah.
Because you can pressure them and then hold up counter magic. Like, for me, this deck, I just hate it because it's so good if you have a Goldspan Dragon, and it's so bad if you don't. And it feels like my opponents always have the Goldspan Dragon plus 4 counter spells in their hand to just counter everything I do for the rest of the game. But then some games it just doesn't do anything at all,
They just expressive
like
iteration.
just spinning its wheels and using Alrund's Epiphany to just take an extra turn and make some chump blockers. Like,
yeah.
But like I said, Yuta is an absolute master with these types of decks, so I wouldn't count him out. even though I think on paper he has my least favorite deck in the tournament. For me, like I would never play this, but for him it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll have to see. I mean, we're no pros, so we just get to watch, which is fun, and not be stressed out about our decks being leaked. But I think it probably matches up well against the actual field, so or does all right. Though I'm hoping for some other spicy things to pump through instead. So we'll have to see. But Jeff, I mean, I'm getting low on my beer, and I'm pretty ready to just draft and get our final teams going. So
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. All right, we're going on a beer break.
Zap.
Bianca.
So elegant.
Yes. I'm excited for this beer because I feel like I've had an Omnipolo that I really didn't like, and then another one that I did like. So now this hopefully will be one that I do like.
They don't hold back,
They don't. Jeff, you know what time it is.
Oh, it's time for the final fantasy.
It's the final fantasy. All right.
It's getting me hyped. We
got to get there. Yeah. So,
let's just have the ceremonial tuning.
Of course I do. Of course. Who do you think I am? I just want everyone to remember the gravity of this moment right here.
Yes.
So, going through, we should have probably recapped what we did, but basically, through all the league weekends and all the set championships, we have been drafting fantasy teams to see who is going to win a 24 case of beer that is curated for each individual beer is weird is just different than the last.
Yeah. Handpicked by the loser.
Given to the winner.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for those beers, Jeff. I hope you've been saving up because we're going to know by next week who wins. Unless we tie again.
Oh my god, if we tie again, that's... So we did 7 events and finished 3-3-1. So that's why we had to move to the World Championship and set up the Final Fantasy. We tied on the 7th and final event.
It was the most just ridiculous thing.
So unlikely to tie one of these things.
We have talked about this. We are very excited for this event. However, I was kind of ready for Fantasy to be over at the last one. So I am finally ready for this. We've been waiting since July to do this. So here we go. Jeff, as always, I'm going to flip the ceremonial toonie. You will say whether it's going to be heads or tails in the air, and then that person will start. We are going to draft all of the players, so no players left on the table. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. You ready to call it?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right.
Tails.
It's tails.
Yes, it never fails.
There are so many times where it doesn't come up tails. I cannot believe.
Yeah, almost half the time.
Oh my god. That's a bummer. All right.
Almost is because sometimes it lands on its side.
When I catch it in my hand and flip it on the back of my other one. All right, Jeff. Well,
how do I know you weren't using a weighted coin though?
Actually this coin it's tails on both sides. Actually, dang it! Why have I been using this?
Yeah, you shouldn't have showed me that.
Okay, Jeff, you get to go first. Who would you like to pick with your first choice?
All right. For my first choice, I will be choosing a Magic Hall of Famer, 2-time Pro Tour champion, 17 top finishes, the current reigning world champion, and I think he could do it again, the greatest player of all time, Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa, a.k.a. Paula Vito.
Paula Vito. Okay.
Paula Vito.
I got scared for a second. I thought you were going to take who I was going to take. But sure. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know what's going to happen. I was excited for Paolo at first, but now I don't know with the mono green how things are going to shake out. But we will see. We will see. This is kind of fun. We haven't ever been able to draft players when we actually know what they're playing. So,
that is interesting.
New things. So, with my first pick, for the championship. This is also a Magic Hall of Famer, a 2-time Pro Tour champion with 15 top finishes. Okay. And this is a French player that always wears a yellow hat, Gabriel Nassif.
Yes. I feel like that's always number 1 and number 2 for us.
It is. And we kind of needed to keep it up because it wouldn't be fantasy if those weren't number 1 and number 2. But now it starts to get a little bit harder. So where are you?
I think I'm locked and loaded.
Okay.
It seems I have an opposite strategy to you, so. Okay. I will be selecting, with my number 2 pick, another Magic Hall of Famer. 10 top finishes. Not quite the 17 from our first pick, but 10 is pretty good. He's also a former world champion, the 2015 Magic World Champion.
Damn it.
And he is known for keeping unkeepable hands, Seth Manfield.
All right. That was he was either going to be first or second. And now I'm in a tough spot.
I'm on Team Mono Green, baby.
I know. I think you've kind of put me in a corner here. So I'm gonna have to do something I didn't want to do, but here we go.
I know who you might be taking.
So this is someone that's got 4 top finishes, 15 Grand Prix top 8s.
I knew it.
And it was the winner of the Strixhaven Championship, Sam Pardee.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you had to take the other mono green.
I gotta get in there. You can't just take all the mono green players because then if mono green explodes, I don't have anybody in that race. So
that was my thinking. These were gonna be my first 3 picks if you didn't. I was just gonna take all the mono green players. All right, now that was my only real strategy that I'd written up. So now I have to think.
So there are players that I was like, I really want to play them. And that was the big, I really don't know how great that matchup really is. I mean, obviously we're going to find out.
I'm a believer in mono green.
All right.
I think the cards are just too good and the deck is too consistent for a monocolor deck.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that leads to my next choice.
Oh, God.
Maybe a bit of a surprise. But this player has 5 Grand Prix top 8s, 2 of which were wins. He absolutely dominated in the MPL, especially at the start, and ended up qualifying through the MPL gauntlet by absolutely crushing it with the Jeskai Mutate deck. I'm going to pick Rei Sato.
Oh, man. Wow, going second's really fucking me up right here. Because, I guess it's more of a grab to see who gets the players. Because, there's so many Is It Epiphany and Grixis Epiphany players that, it doesn't matter as much. Because you're going to get them no matter what. So, once again, I feel like I'm in a tough spot. What am I going to do? What's going to happen? I think what I'm really going to have to do is I'm just going to go back. I'm taking a player that has 3 top finishes, has qualified for the MPL gauntlet. That's how they got to the place that they're at. And they're a World Magic Cup winner from 2018, Jean-Emmanuel Deprat.
Ooh, interesting. Betting on that teamer, or moist gruel, as some people call it.
Yeah, moist gruel.
Okay, I think I'm comfortable with my next pick here. I am going to be selecting the player who absolutely dominated the Rivals League. I mean, this guy just couldn't stop winning the whole Rivals League. He has 8 Grand Prix top 8s, and of course he qualified through the Rivals League because he won it. And I will take Eli Cassis.
That's a good one. Eli Cassis is
He's been on an absolute tear. And I like this Grixis deck. I think it should have the edge against the Is It.
Yeah. I also like this Grixis deck. So I think I'm going to go back to it with this pick. This is a player that's been on my team many times. Maybe fallen short a couple, but I'm willing to come back to it. It's a player with 4 top finishes and qualified for Worlds during the Rivals regular season. It took a couple tries, but got there. This is Matt Sperling.
Yeah, another player that dominated the Rivals League.
Yeah, just weekend after weekend, and just like
kept falling, from like day one,
and just like kept falling short, like just by just like first place gets in, he's second, over and over again. Just kept happening. So, obviously he's a phenomenal player. So I'm happy to have him.
All right. Although I don't like this next player's deck list, he's undisputably one of the best players in the world. I made a mistake not picking him earlier, and he went on an absolute tear, and that's how he qualified for this event. So I'm not going to make the same mistake again. I'm going to choose Andre Strosky, the winner of the MPL regular season.
The first person to qualify for this event.
That's correct. I don't know if I love the deck choice, but Andre's so good that it may not matter.
That's true. I think I'm going to give props to this person. It's been kind of shitty for them the last couple weeks. They've been kind of tossed around by WotC. Their name has been written down incorrectly several times in multiple write-ups for
Not even
this
incorrectly,
event.
just like the wrong name.
It's just the wrong person. And it happened a couple times. And
not even a typo, they just put the wrong name.
Yeah, it just really bums me out. And because of that, I really wanted to make sure I had this person on my team just to show them support because, they have 2 top finishes, 5 Grand Prix top 8s. They also love fast and grindy aggro decks, and I also love things like that. So Yoshihiko Ikawa, come on over.
I was going to take him to shore up the mono white.
Yeah, let's do some mono white stuff.
I almost took him last pick too. But
I was thinking about
push it one more round.
I was thinking about picking him instead of Matt Sperling, and then I switched. But I also was thinking about taking Andre Strosky instead, and then
there you go. Yeah, I made your decision easy.
Oh, your team looks so stacked though.
I'm liking my team, but I feel like both teams are stacked.
Yeah,
these players are
it's
incredible.
true. I mean, obviously they made it to Worlds, so.
All right, so the next pick, I just want him on my team, to be honest. He's known for bringing his own brews, and he did so in this event. He hasn't been playing Magic for less than 3 years. That's kind of crazy. But he still has over 25,000 matches on MTG Arena, and he describes his days as 8 hours of Magic, 8 hours of research, and 8 hours of sleep. And so I will be selecting Blue-White Tempo in the hands of Noriyuki Mori.
Not only he's played more matches on Arena than like any other person. Like
yeah, I mean 25,000. That doesn't surprise me.
It's insane. It's just like a new player that's just like, you know what? I'm in love with this thing. I'm going to be the best I can possibly be, and I made it to Worlds. That's crazy. And the guts to just to be like, oh, I'm just gonna bring my own deck. It's like, fucking
yeah, because he learned on his own at home, right? So he's not influenced by other people. What decks they like,
And I like the deck. That was one I was hoping I could wait a little bit longer to grab, but
I was worried. I was worried that if I pushed it, that you would take him.
So the next person I'm going to take is someone I was thinking you might have been talking about with this last one, but I'm a really big fan of this player. They just busted out, and it like really changed the way I was thinking about a lot of these things, and they felt closer to me than some of the other players felt. They felt a little too. Just like the accolades that they had won just felt very out of reach. But this player has 7 Grand Prix top 8s already, and also was the winner of the Call Time Championship, Arne Huschenbett.
Nice.
I just want Arne on my team. I've been rooting for Arne.
He's such a lovable dude.
Oh.
You just want to root for him.
His stream is also so nice.
Yeah, exactly. He's just such a nice guy.
Yeah, I remember the one time, so on Twitch, my name is Regular Zach for the Arena Regulars, and I had jumped on and like followed him or subscribed or whatever, and he was like, oh, thanks, Regular Zach. He's like, I don't think you're a regular Zach. I think you're an awesome Zach. And I was like, oh, you're so cool. As
so
he's
wholesome.
Like, yeah, so just very wholesome. So I just want to root for him, and I want to make sure that I don't have to worry about like, oh, but also Jeff has him on his team,
Yeah, and And I remember that championship that he won. Like, he was unbelievable how well he played. I was watching and I just couldn't believe any of the plays he was making, and he was always right. And obviously he won. So
it was, yeah.
Like you said, he changed the way I thought about playing rogues. You know, a lot of decisions I thought were automatic were not because he wasn't doing them.
And it's also like just watching him reminded me that when I get in a slump of like, oh, this matchup, I'm fucked. I can sit back and be like, I don't have to play this on the turn I would normally play it. I can wait to get past the thing that I'm worried about.
Throws off my curve, but also my opponents, and maybe that's useful for me.
I do better because my spells are cheaper. That whole thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good.
He's so good. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch him win the Call Time Championship because it is masterful.
And you love him because he brought auras for the historic.
Yes. Love it. He's so good.
Oh, man. I have no idea who to pick. There's still so many. All of these players are so good.
Yeah. Isn't that great? I mean, not that the ones that we picked before weren't great, but these specifically are, you know, the cream of the crop.
For sure. And I'm wondering, like, now we're kind of getting to the point where I don't know these players' limited abilities. So before it's like I know some people are kind of good at limited too, and that is 3 rounds of the event. So now I'm just like, well, I don't know. Are these people good at limited?
It also
I haven't had a competitive limited tournament in years.
Well, how would we know? How would we know how these people because are good at limited or not? Like you can just guess, I guess, or you can watch their stream if they play limited. But
all right, so it's a 50-50 for me. I think I'm gonna go this way just on the standard deck that they brought. But this is an old-time Magic pro. He was famous because he won his first Pro Tour he ever played in at the age of 17. Then he took some time off, came back to the game, and starting from a challenger has now just worked his way back to Worlds. He's just like a Magic phenom, I guess, because whenever he comes back, he just wins. And so I'm going to pick Jan Moritz Merkel.
All right. All right, well, if you're going that way, I think I'm just going to go with, you have one, I'm just going to say it. They have some great accolades, 3 top finishes, and was the winner of they were the winner of Pro Tour Return to Ravnica, but they are part of the Czech house, Stanislav Sivka. If you have
ridiculous that he's still on the board.
I know. I've been trying to pick him up for a couple times now, but after you had Andre, I wasn't sure if you're going to get both. So I thought I could push it a little bit. But,
that was why I was holding off.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, commit to if they brought a bad deck, then I'm screwed. But
so hopefully, traditionally, Andre has been the better player. But we'll see. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens.
Stan killed the Rivals League, though, too.
Yeah. So, all right.
Definitely interesting.
Well, you get the last pick because after that I get whatever's left. So, who do you want to?
That's right.
Who do you want to go with?
All right. So there are 2 Japanese players left. One brought Is It Turns. One brought Is It Dragons. You know what? I'm gonna trust in his tempo playing abilities. I don't like his deck, but I think he's a master of it. And so I'm going to pick Yuta Takahashi to round out my team.
Yeah. So I get Kaisuke Sato. Okay, I like this.
This is going to be so fun.
I think this is going to be great.
The only issue is that, this weekend is Canadian Thanksgiving.
That is true. So
it's going to be tough to watch it, but
not only that, but
my best.
My fiance's family is coming into town, so it's going to be really hard to watch it.
Yeah, you just be like, hey, no, I'm going to lock myself in the bedroom, and I got a world championship to watch.
My phone is on. I'm just like, oh, no. I'm just seeing, what are they picking for draft? Oh, really? Oh, they're playing red-white? Oh, my gosh. Oh. So, anyway, what I was trying to say earlier is that the format is 10 rounds to see who goes to the top 4. And the first 3 rounds are limited. And then after that, the 7 after that are going to be standard, obviously, which is what we've been talking about the whole time. If you want to know more about the limited and the draft stuff, listen to our last episode because we break some stuff down for you. But it does mean that the first players to 7 wins immediately get to go
Right.
to the top 4.
They just move into the yeah.
So
And then it's like the double elimination bracket thing again, right?
Yeah.
That they've been doing.
So the top 4 is going to be like the top bracket and the bottom bracket. So it'll be like top bracket is best of 3, bottom bracket is best of 3 matches, including the championship match.
Okay.
Which is what they normally do just for the championship match. So there will be some, when you're fighting to get back into the game, it's going to be pretty grueling. Or teamering, I guess.
Yeah. Or moist grueling.
Yeah, moist grueling. But it does mean that your limited output could be extremely important, because if you got 3-0 in limited, then you only need 4 wins in your standard deck. So
conversely, if you go 0-3, you have to win every match, right?
yeah, so
Standard.
maybe this is something we should have thought about before we drafted our players.
I was thinking about it. Paulo's a great drafter. That was part of the...
Yeah, I mean, Gab's also a great drafter, so... But
Yeah,
Seth,
I mean, with those 2 guys, they're just so good. But Seth is also a very good drafter.
that's true. I don't know how good Sam is. Maybe I should have thought a little
I
bit
think
more
he's
about
probably pretty good.
I'm assuming they're all
there are no
pretty good.
bad drafters.
No.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that it's best of 3, right? So some stuff that we know that we've learned about the format might not actually apply, because sideboarding does change things.
That's true, but I just don't know how much of a difference sideboarding in draft is really gonna make it, because this specific draft format doesn't feel super bomby, and usually it's really helpful in best of 3 to know what your opponent's bombs are. But if you know their deck is general good card quality, it can how do you beat that? So,
yeah, totally. I mean, I think what's that card we always make fun of? Thraben Exorcism.
That's true.
That's a real card. If it, blue white is the best deck in the format, in my opinion. I think blue black's easier to get a decent version of, but when you get the good version, blue white's the best.
Yeah.
Partially because it farms blue black. It's so easy to beat blue black with blue white. But if people are just picking up 3 last pick Thraben Exorcisms in their sideboard, maybe blue white isn't quite as good, because that card's actually good against blue white.
Yeah. It's which is the reason why we think it's funny, because it's hey, here's a white card that's good against white decks,
Yeah.
Classic white, just got to balance it out. Hey, if you're playing white, you can also kill white, so as opposed to black that used to not
and
ever
used to rule werewolves with 3 Thraben Exorcisms.
Yeah. You're great. So yeah, we'll have to see. Jeff, do we want to just read off our fantasy teams just to remind everyone who's
let's
on
go
whose
through
teams?
it.
Yeah.
So I'll go first. My first pick was PV DDR Palavito Damadorosa. Then I have Seth Manfield, Ray Sato, Eli Cassis, Andre Strosky, Noriyuki Mori, Jan Moritz Merkel, and Yuta Takahashi.
Very nice. Too bad that my team's better with Gabriel Nassif, Sam Pardee, Jean-Emmanuel Deprat, Matt Sperling, Yoshihiko Ikawa, Arne Huschenbet, Stanislav Sivka, and Kaisuke Sato. So,
just realized my team is so I guess it's the World Championships, right? But I have 2 Americans, a Brazilian, 3 Japanese players, a German player, and a Czech player.
yeah, I have some French guys and a couple Americans.
Yeah, your team France over there with Nassif and Deprat.
That's true. We'll have to see who wins, but I'm excited. I'm also thirsty. I'm thirsty for those beers. Better give me something good. Or you can give me
some of them will be good.
Some of them will not be good. All right, I'm ready for it.
There are a few beers that I know you hate that I might have to add in there.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, whatever you want to add to it, beer's beer, right? So even if it's bronze, I will happily take a video of me pouring it down the drain just to be like, you bought this and I'm throwing it away.
I don't know, man. I don't think you could beat this dream squad I have. So
I think that some of the underdogs here are going to really pump. I mean, you have the ultimate underdog, but I have more underdogs in general. So I think
that's right.
I think I got something.
It's gonna be interesting for sure.
Noriyuki Moro, he brought a cool deck or whatever, but he's gonna get fucking creamed in limited and get creamed in the whole.
I hope he knows his draft. I hope he knows how to draft.
0 wins.
He's probably drafted more than anyone else.
0 wins. He's gonna get. Oh yeah, so this is important. So we should talk about this. The point structure. We're going real simple. With this.
For our Final Fantasy.
Yeah. The point structure is literally just gonna be, you get a point for each match you win, right? That's what we're going with. Yep. Mm-hmm. Tiebreakers we'll have to have tiebreakers. We'll probably go back and look at how you won your matches, if it was 2-0 or 2-1. But
I don't know. Maybe if it's tied, like whoever's player won the event wins.
Okay.
Because one of our players is going to win the event.
Exactly. So that's true. One of our players will win. Okay, I like that. That makes sense. Are we doing extra points for top 4?
I don't think we need to, right?
It's unnecessary.
They're going to play more games. They'll get more wins.
Yeah, it's not as important as with the championships, I think.
Now, do we want to do the metagame guessing challenge?
Yeah. So for draft, I think that should we try to guess the metagame for draft? It's just like because this will be different. So a lot of times they have like. Do they actually curate those packs or
no? They just open them and check that nobody's like it's online, or how are they doing it?
They're going to do it online for this event, but normally you're sitting at a table and all the cards are stamped, and they're not in actual packs.
They check it to make sure you're not like adding cards to your pack or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's usually they just open it, they check it, they stamp the cards, and then.
So, but it still is just a random like, oh, we picked.
Totally.
This many packs and opened them and stamped them.
It's also going to be a bit different because they're drafting in pods, right? Like when you play on Arena, you don't play against the people you drafted with, but these players will be playing against people they drafted with. So that changes the strategy a bit. Like on Arena, you just know half your games are going to be against blue-black.
Yeah.
But that's not really the case when you're playing against the people you drafted with because you can't have half the table be blue-black.
It'll be like 2 or 3 probably will be blue-black.
Yeah, blue-black's pretty deep, so I would guess it could support 3, and if there's only 2, then both of them will have good decks.
Exactly. So we'll have to see. It'll also be interesting to see, obviously our teams aren't going to be in the same pods. Like it will be fun to see who's in what pod because there's going to be 2.
Totally. Imagine the pods are just our teams. That would be crazy.
That would suck though, because then you won't really get up. You're like, okay, cool. We all get the same amount of points for that first portion.
I'm just gonna get like 12 wins out of this.
Yeah, sure. It's like that's it. We both get the same number. We're like, cool. All right, move on to the next thing. That would be so stupid. That's exactly the kind of thing that would happen too. Is it like, oh, we cut it right? This is Watsy just listens to our podcast and like makes decisions.
Yeah,
based
definitely.
on what we do.
I mean, that would be real convincing if the pods were just our teams. Then we know they listen.
That would be a huge honor, honestly.
Yeah.
But anyway, get excited for this weekend. Don't forget, pick your champion on the fucking esports website. You get a free rare and a sleeve and maybe a pet.
I picked Paulo.
You picked Paulo? I haven't picked yet. I wanted to wait until we drafted to make sure I picked a player that was on my team.
I picked Paulo before the deck list leak, though.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I didn't even know. It wasn't even like a mono green thing.
I just think that it's so unlikely for him to win again. And he has said that he's kind of, he's positioned himself to be more of a content creator and be in that position. That I want to pick someone who's like hungry, And I feel like
the GOAT though.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if he really needs it. I want someone who's scrappy, Anyway, we'll find out, obviously, this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a Thanksgiving thing.
I really thought you had something there. But...
So, in American Thanksgiving, it's traditional to watch football on Thanksgiving. In Canada, we watch Magic. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's the tradition here, yeah, for sure.
It's the World Championships is always on Thanksgiving in Canada.
Yeah, always on Canadian Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
That'd be a great tradition.
That would be awesome. I mean,
just have it on the big screen in the living room.
Everybody's invested.
Everybody freaks out when Noriyuki Mori, concerted defenses their spell.
Double concerted defenses with malevolent hermit backup.
Yeah.
Because I can see that play pattern.
I guess concerted defense is not bad against Galvanic Iteration, because if they pay for it,
they can't
cast the Epiphany.
Exactly. So then you're like, okay. Though Galvanic Iteration is also going to just sit in your graveyard and do it again next turn, so that's kind of annoying.
Another concerted defense.
That's true. I think having the Malevolent Hermit where you're just sitting there, and then they're like, okay, well, let's try to bait it out, and then you can play the concerted defenses so it sits on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I do like that Hermit, though. I think it's a pretty interesting card.
Yeah, I'm not as high on it as everyone else seems to be, because I've never really had it do that much against me. But it's definitely powerful.
Yeah.
And if you're playing like blue mirrors, I could see it like turning off all their counter spells is pretty good. Like they have to leave in removal now because of this stupid hermit that you might bring in.
Yeah, so I'm excited. It's Worlds, baby. It's Worlds, baby.
Worlds.
Excited. All right. Well, Jeff, do you have any last thoughts before we go to our last call?
No, I'm just busy thinking about which beer I'm going to pick.
I have absolutely no idea. So I'm going to chug the
just like that whole draft, I don't know what I'm going to pick.
I don't know who I'm going to pick. I don't know who's going to win. I don't know anything, but I'm along for the ride.
You ready?
You ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Knew it. We pick at our own beers, like we do.
Had a feeling that might happen.
And I got a Zap.
Zap. I got Bianca.
Bianca. It sounds like a fragrance.
Yeah.
Bianca
by Omnipolo.
It's just like a... It's the classic... Well, I guess maybe that's a jeans commercial, probably. But like, ripped dude and like hot chick swimming in a lake, and then they get out and they pull on their jeans or whatever, and it just like whispers what it is, classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how the fragrance commercial landscape just has never changed from the let's just get two hot people and like grayscale it.
Yeah, because like that is a weird thing about scents, right? Where like scent is one of the things that like puts you back in a place quicker than anything else of your senses. Like if you smell something, you like remember that moment when your mom was baking the thing that you liked when you were a kid or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't know. It's also a weird sex thing where it's like, oh, you smell this and you immediately just like...
It's very sensual.
Yeah. You're like ready for it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what the idea of that is. You know what they really need is if there was a fragrance that smelled like a fresh pack of Magic cards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. You walk into a game store fucking smelling like fresh Magic cards. Oh, buddy. Are you going to make friends? Maybe they're not the friends that you want to make, but you're going to make lots of friends.
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe for me and you, because we're not looking for anybody, but besides just like dude friends, but yeah.
Hey, that would make us some great dude friends.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, hey, do you want to add me on Arena?
And they'd be like, no, because Arena doesn't smell like fresh Magic cards.
Yeah, I can't play Commander with 4 players on Arena. So.
Exactly. All right. Anyway, let's talk about some beers. Let's talk about some rankings of the beers.
Yes.
We have a system that we rank our beers by. It's unique. We invented it. No one has ever thought of this before.
It's true. We actually checked.
With all of the ranking systems. We rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. That's just... I don't know how that happened. It's just random, I guess.
It's just really fortunate that it worked out like that.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Like, I'm pretty sure the developers of Arena started listening to our podcast and then decided that they're like,
this is a great system.
Yeah, wow. It's like, it goes up in like medals. That's cool. Anyway, this in no way says anything about you and your personal rank on Arena. But bronze beers are trash. They're so bad that you spit them out. You can't believe that you had to drink them in the first place, and you're actually upset by it.
Yeah, that's a doozy. Silver beers. These are macro brews. You know, your Coors Lights, or just micro brews that are not particularly interesting.
Gold beers are fine. Like, you drink them and you're like, okay, but like you kind of forget about them and you don't really care about it really at all.
Platinum is one step up, right? Like, it's good, it's fine, it's solid, and you would have this again, no problem, but, you know, didn't blow your mind.
Yeah. Sometimes you go to the liquor store and you pick it up because you're like, yeah, this is solid. I feel like this today.
Right.
Diamond is exceptional. So this is a beer that you actually go to specific stores to find because you're like, I do actually like this one and I know this spot has it. So I'm going to get this so I can make sure I can bring it to my friend's house to show them because it is good. It's really good.
Yeah, and then Mythic, these are the best of the best, you know. These are the beers you tell everyone about, you know, even if somebody you don't even know is just at the beer store. You grab this, you put it in their cart, you talk their ear off about it.
You give them $20. They're going to buy it. You're going to make them buy it.
It's on me.
Yeah. All right. So we have our 2 beers tonight. Jeff, where should we start? Do you want to start with Zap or do you want to start with Bianca?
Zap! Yeah, you wrote that one first in the notes, so let's go with that one.
Perfect. Sounds good because I picked it and I'm drinking it right now so I can remember what it tastes like.
Yes, that's going to be my issue.
Yeah, so this one, Nickelbrook, they have a bunch of different stuff. I've never been like just phenomenally amazed by any of their beers. But I like this one. It's nice. I do enjoy pink lemonade in general. I don't actually remember why it's pink. It's just in general, like pink lemonade. This beer is not pink.
Comes from pink lemons.
No, that's not true. Yeah, is it like? Why is it pink? Why is pink lemonade pink?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Do they add strawberries, but strawberries just like fall over to every other flavor? So lemonade it just tastes like lemons.
I feel like strawberry lemonade's definitely a thing, though.
Oh, that is true.
And it's not the same thing as pink lemonade.
Is pink lemonade literally just dyed pink? I have no idea. Anyway.
I would assume so.
Probably. But I like the can. I like pink lemonade whenever it's around. And this is nice. You know, it has a nice, sharp, sour taste, which feels like... It does feel very close to actual pink lemonade because that's going to be sour as well with the lemons. So it doesn't taste super... sour just on purpose to be a sour. It actually makes sense that it all fits together. But I enjoyed it. I liked it enough.
Yeah, I was happy that it wasn't like overbearingly sweet because I was a bit nervous about that when I saw the pink lemonade IPA. I was worried it was just going to be basically taste like really sugary pink lemonade with a hint of beer in the background, you know. And that was not the case, so that was nice.
Yeah. But I mean, I liked it. It's not blowing me away in any sense, and I don't know if I would be super into it, drinking it a lot. But okay, so this I'm reading the back now. So as far as fruit goes, it says it has lemon zest and pink guava. So that's the pink aspect of this specific one. And it has citra hops, just like you like the cheater hops right in there. That's probably why I do like it. And California...
I mean, that makes sense in a citrusy beer anyways, because they have, like, it balances well with citrus.
Yeah. It's very zingy lemon. So I could, you know, if it's kind of hot out or I want something that's really kind of bright and sharp, this definitely fits the bill. I could see myself picking this up again, but I could also see myself never picking it up again. So I'm on the gold platinum border.
This is one of those ones where I'm going to look at this in the store and be like, oh yeah, that was pretty good, and then buy something else. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Like, I'm going to acknowledge that I enjoyed it and that it was pretty good, and I'll be like, I should get that sometime, and then I'm going to get something else.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So then that's probably just gold then.
Yeah, I guess technically, like, I don't know, in terms of beer quality, I probably was thinking platinum, but then just sort of walking through that scenario with you, I'm like, I'm not going to get this again, though, so probably by our own rating scale, it is gold.
It's probably, I would say it's high gold. It's really hard, because I do think that it is solid, but I'm probably not going to drink it again, and I probably won't bring it to anything.
It's just kind of like niche, right? That's more I'm not like gonna avoid it because it's not good. I'm just gonna avoid it because you have to be in a very specific mood to drink this. Like you said, if it's the summer, really hot day, then the lemon is really refreshing, but then there are other beers that kind of do that better. So
exactly. Like, I think I would probably go to something that's juicier first in that scenario. So, but I did like it. I'm happy that I had it. Obviously, I wanted another one because I had the first one. I was like, you know what? I really feel like drinking this again. And I like those tones. So, high gold.
Yeah, I think technically we have to give it gold, but I think, in terms of beer quality, you should think of this as more in the platinum range. So if this is your type of thing, go pick it up because it's not bad.
Yeah, go for it. Also, like we've said this with a bunch of things, but try it out for yourself. We're gonna rate things a certain way. You could easily have different taste buds because everyone does. So do it. Let's go into Bianca though.
All right, I'm guessing you did not like Bianca. Because you picked a gold beer over it. So
yeah, so I thought it was really interesting. But I'm gonna make you talk about it first because I had to talk about the other one first. So
that's fair, and that's the one you picked, and this is the one I picked. So I was expecting to hate this because every Goza I've had, I don't think I've had one that I really, really liked, and so every time I see the word Goza, I get a little apprehensive. Now, I felt like this one in particular, so if you don't know, like Gozas tend to be very, very salty. It's kind of my main issue with them. It's like a salty beer. And I think the first one I had was like a cucumber Goza, which sounded really refreshing, but then the salt, instead of being refreshing, because it was so salty, it was like the opposite. It dehydrated you more than beer usually does. This one, I thought the mango actually worked well with that saltiness, and they kind of tempered the saltiness a little bit. Like, it's not as salty as the ones I've had in the past. It's just kind of a hint of salt on the back end. So I think that's where I was coming from on this one. That I expected to really hate it, like because I just haven't had a Goza that I liked really, and I thought it was fine.
Yeah. I also thought it was fine. The mango was nice, and I agree with everything you said about Gozas because I have a similar relationship with them. Not as much as the salty stuff, but there's just something else about it that I don't really know that I usually haven't liked. And this didn't have any of those characteristics, so I don't even know if I would consider it that.
They can be very off-putting, right?
I think what I would really like to taste this first because I had the pink lemonade one at the beginning. This one felt very like creamy and like kind of almost flat in the sense that one felt so sharp and strong, and this one felt very soothing and like chill, but also just like chill. Like
I mean, this does have that vibe though. It's not particularly carbonated.
Yeah, but not just carbonated, but also like it's just mellow. Which can be definitely nice, I think I was looking more towards this. I put them both at gold in the sense that I might try this another time just to see if I like it just alone. But it's the same. I feel very similar. I feel like they're very close, and I feel very similarly with, I think the beer quality is there, but I'm probably not going to I'm not going to choose this one again. Like, I'm not going to on
before we started this segment, I kind of had them both in platinum, with this one edging the other one out. But now that I think about it, I'm honestly probably not going to pick this one up again either. So I guess by our metrics, they're both gold.
Yeah.
But they're both good beers. It's just neither of these are really my style of beer, and so that kind of means that I'm very unlikely to get these again.
Yeah. I think they're fine. Like it is the kind of gold thing of like, I would probably drink them like once every few months or whatever.
Yeah, or if I was at a party or something and somebody offered me this, I wouldn't be apprehensive about that. I'd be like, sure, yeah, I've had this before. It's pretty good.
But
I wouldn't seek it out.
Exactly. And it's like, if I went to a party and I saw both of these, I would probably pick the pink lemonade one over this one.
See, I'd go the other way. So
yeah, so there we go. That makes sense because we literally just did that right now. Anyway,
yeah,
perfect. Gold's all around. Lots of gold. As we hope that our players on our teams make the gold world medal. I don't know what color.
Excellent tie-in.
Yeah. See, I'm just full of these. Anyway, it is closing time. It's time to close up the show, and that's it.
Very eloquent.
You can always find us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, you can also find us on MTG Arena under the username Arena Regulars Podcast.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg. That's Zeulberg on Twitter and Instagram. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Twitter, Blues Brews MTG, spelled exactly like it sounds.
Also, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes, anywhere you can talk about our show and sing our praises. We'd really like that. Also, if you just want to talk to us, please find us on the places that we just mentioned, because we'd love to talk to you. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you, and by you, I mean you, Zach, to start picking out your 24 beers for my Weird 2-4.